Let's look at the dailies now, and I want to introduce the two gentlemen who will be going through the papers with me, as well as a discussion on the state of politics, the interests in Parliament, the intrigues and intents that they have. Mark Bichachi, who has just coughed, I wish you good health. Good morning, Bichachi.
Good morning, good morning. You happen to be pushing things that cause my allergies to flare up at me, so this is all entirely your fault.
Apologies for that. Mark Bichachi, political analyst, joining us this morning, as well as Dismas Mokua, political risk analyst. He'll probably explain what that is. Politics is a risky affair, as you're about to see from what is headlined in the Daily Nation. How Raila lost, gentlemen. That is what the Daily Nation is leading with. Some in the Odinga camp believe agents of state-aided theft of votes in Ruto's favor. And this is in page 4, 5, and 6. And they look at several areas. Almost doesn't count. Change agents, curse of incumbency, and supremacy battles. From what is highlighted here, not to give too much away how Raila lost this last election, what stands out for you? Start with Dismas and go to Mark.
Well, I think when people are now doing the post-mortem on what happened to Raila Odinga, there are many reasons.
You make it sound like it's a death. They're still present in politics.
No, I think for him it's really a wrap. But when you look at the matrix, there are a variety of reasons. And people say with the benefit of hindsight, it's 2020. But in my view, there are three primary reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, Raila's got this stellar record of running as an anti-establishment candidate his entire life, from the time he joined politics. For the first 4 runs, he was running against the system. But this time round, he was running as the establishment candidate. That meant that he would not deploy his normal politics. Yeah. You know, calling out on corruption and blaming everything on the state. So he went to the ballot carrying all Jubilee's liabilities on his back. And then number two, he lost many friends. The people who initially assisted him in CORD and NASA to put together a very powerful system. Because of his poor capacity of maintaining friends, he lost Mr. Moses Wetangula, he lost Mr. Mudavadi, and then also we are told that there was a brain behind the NASA campaign, that's Mr. Jimmy Wanjigi. Now, when you lose these key people who've been in your kitchen cabinet, people have given you numbers, then you've got a crisis. And then number three, this now was from Dr. William Ruto's side. Dr. William Ruto ensured that he has maintained his traditional base of Jubilee, that is Mount Kenya, as well as the Rift Valley, in his matrix, very strong, with a very tight grip, and then converted all the Raila regions into battlegrounds, especially Western Kenya, where Wetangula and Mudavadi come from. It was converted into a battleground, and then the same happened in Kisii and parts of Coast. And then finally, it's now very clear that Mr. Raila Odinga does not have attention to detail. He doesn't look at the small details that are eventually determine who wins an election. Unlike Dr. Ruto, who we understand as granular detail, that he pays attention to the small things. Okay. Because if you look at the numbers, Raila lost by about 233,000 votes only. That is something that Raila would have worked on. Say, I did retain Wetangula and Musalia, and then work on the turnover, the turnout in, say, Kakamega, in Vihiga, in Kisii, in good parts of, his strongholds. Yeah. We would be talking about an entirely different game.
There seems to be a point that is not quite in line with what you have put forward, and that's point number 3 in terms of this report. Curse of incumbency. Raila also lost his traditional base by running as an establishment candidate, while Ruto cast himself as a change champion and voice of the marginalized. Some may say that there was taking things for granted because there was a weight of what was termed the system. And on the other side, they did not take anything for granted and worked on every detail. Do you see this as one of the main reasons for failure?
You know, this is what I told a friend of mine yesterday, that Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance seems to do everything power to lose the election. What I mean by that is when you look at the cacophony of errors that were coming out of the Azimio One Kenya Alliance, one will be forgiven to think that perhaps there was a taking for granted that the victory was already theirs. Let's go to election day. Were there errors in terms of deploying agents and having agents on the ground? Yes, there were. Did they have enough agents? No, they didn't. You go to voter turnout, 233,000 votes. You look at some of the places in Nyanza, which should be the bedrock of Raila Odinga's support, registering 73% turnout. When you look at a turnout, if they had just come out 83, 84%, then Raila Odinga would be president today. So you've got his bedrock supporters not coming out to vote in the right terms. Then you've got the infighting. You've got, to date, Winnie Odinga and other members of the campaign trading public barbs on Twitter, blaming Winnie for running the communication outfit badly. Then you've got the issues between the Macau Mtua-led team, the communications team, who was the spokesman, who was doing this, who was leading that. Was Junet the campaign manager? Was it the former Laikipia governor? And it is all this manner of issues.
Yes.
Plus, of course, the fact that the traditional people who were known to support Raila Odinga and to lead him to his team towards success were marginalized. And it is this kind of issues, this silo mentality as well, that brought the Azimio One Kenya coalition to a loss in an election that was Raila Odinga's to lose, literally. So what the nation is reporting, what Boniface Mwangi wrote, is honestly the truth of the matter. And One Kenya, Azimio One Kenya Alliance needs to really look sharply at the indictment that the polls gave them, look quite sharply at what Kenyans are saying, and then critically also look at Raila Odinga and ask themselves, is he going to be their flag bearer in 2027? They also need to borrow a leaf from William Ruto. William Ruto hit the ground in 2018, never looked back, campaigned every day until he became president. So One Kenya Azimio, if they're looking at me and they're listening to me, the time is now. It's time to get your house in order. It's time not to look backwards. I think there's been a great focus on the Supreme Court, and they're going to change the judges, etc., etc. It's not going to change the material fact that Dr. William Ruto is president of this republic. I think they need to look forward, correct their mistakes, streamline the operations, and get back on the horse, because 2027 is coming. And if they've not learned from the last 4 years, I can tell them for free that Dr. William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, is already preparing himself for 2027.
Do you share his, just shortly before he interjects, that his view that it is game over for Raila in terms of that level of leadership in the future?
You know, here's the thing. I was taught in my tradition never to count a man out. He's definitely up there in age. He's definitely looking at retirement. But would I count him out? 30 years of Kenyan politics has taught me never to count the man out.